Welcome back to the Two Blues podcast and to the latest instalment of Loan Watch, our weekly series taking a closer look at the Chelsea loanees across the globe. Now this week we are going to get back into it with more positive updates from Strasbourg. Andrey Santos with his 8th goal of the season, and Strasbourg somewhat unbelievably in 9th position, just 3 places off European qualification. It's been a fantastic year for Strasbourg. Still potential for those 3 loan spots for Chelsea with Djordje, Petrovic, Andrey Santos and Caleb Wiley to change in the next couple of days, with talks of Mamadou Sarr being signed to Chelsea. Therefore, we would have to, if we wanted to continue loaning him out for the second half of the season, we would have to recall one of the other 3. I think it's probably looking more likely that it's Caleb Wiley in the absence of Renato Vega, but nothing is done yet. Nothing has been confirmed or announced, and obviously we are going to be focusing on those players that are currently contracted at Chelsea. So let's get into it. Without further ado, we will jump straight in to the most successful loan move, not just for Chelsea, not just this season, the most successful loan player in the entire world, in the globe. Andrey Santos is setting League One on fire, and I don't know how many videos I can do where I praise this guy. I don't know how many times I can repeat myself. This guy has the potential to be the complete midfielder, the complete 8, a complete box-to-box. He has everything. The physical attributes, the defensive attributes, the breaking up play, but he also has the positive ball carrying, distribution, creativity, will to get forward, breaking the lines like Frank Lampard, making those late runs into the box, arriving at the right place at the right time. And that is just how he got that 8th goal, a superb volley. The technique on this guy, I mean, he's shown this season he can score from close range, he can score headers, he can score from range. The only thing we haven't seen is, maybe set pieces. If he can add that to his game, this is literally a centre midfielder that can score every single type of goal. I have such high hopes for Andrey Santos, and I think a lot of the Chelsea fans have been talking about potentially recalling Andrey Santos. I don't know if that would be the right move, purely because of how well he is doing, how incredibly he's developed this year as a player. From last season, I rated him last season. I thought he was a great player when I saw him in the pre-season under Pochettino, but he very clearly needed a couple of loan moves to get himself up to the level of physicality that we expect from a Premier League side, a Premier League player. But he is very much closing that gap quicker than we would expect, and where Chelsea youngsters normally need 2-3 loans before they can be considered ready for first team football, Andrey Santos has done more than enough this year, and in the back half of last year as well. Obviously with Strasbourg, after the first half of the year didn't go particularly well with Forest, but yeah, Santos has done more than enough for me. He is pioneering their charge at the moment. I don't want to call it a European charge because only halfway through the season, long way to go, and a couple of months ago Strasbourg were fighting relegation, but they have been helped massively in that department also by Djordje Petrovic, who has just put together the most unbelievable string of performances when the Chelsea goalkeepers at home are doing completely the other side of the coin, completely the opposite. They've done a complete 180 in terms of the performances. Robert Sanchez completely down in the mud. Djordje Petrovic pulling off world-class saves. His distributions going up. His passings get better. He's looked so much more confident on the ball. In terms of his high claims, his command of the box, I think he has so much more confidence. And his defence has so much more confidence in him. I think it shows throughout the team. They are so much more comfortable playing the ball back to him when they go back. They're not worried, particularly when it's a one-on-one. They're not absolutely shitting themselves like they are when anybody gets in against Chelsea, because we're thinking, oh crap, if they get past the last line of defence, it's not a 50-50 chance they score, it's a 90-10 chance they do score. So I think Djordje Petrovic, another one to watch. It's not one that I'd bring home because at the end of the day, we've already got Jorgensen. If you bring in another keeper, he's just going to be sitting on the bench alongside Sanchez. I think that in itself is its own problem. Jorgensen needs to be promoted. Sanchez needs to be demoted. But come the end of the season, I would love Djordje Petrovic to be brought back in the fold. I don't really know how feasible it is. I have a gut feeling that it won't happen. But at the same time, I think if he continues to put in these performances, this level of consistency, week in, week out, game in, game out, not just for Strasbourg as well. Ever since he's been called up to Serbia, the first couple of games he played for the national team, he was quality. If he can continue doing what he's doing now for club and country for the rest of the season, there is no reason that Djordje Petrovic cannot be recalled and cannot be brought back into the fold for Chelsea next season. I don't think he's ever going to be an Alisson, an Ederson, a David Raya, but he's a very solid goalkeeper. Very, very good player. And with players like Mike Penders, Gaga Slanini waiting in the wings, obviously youth players that will be available to, in contention for that number one spot in a couple of years, not now, but in 2-3 seasons, they're both going to be names that we, hopefully are still discussing, unless Chelsea do what Chelsea do best and, usurp them by the time they come of age. But yeah, man, Djordje Petrovic, definitely space, definitely room in this squad for him. And the third player on loan, obviously Caleb Wiley, still yet to play too much this season, really, really hampered by injuries. But I think he's the most likely to come back out of the three if we do have to recall one, like I said, purely not to stunt the development of Djordje Petrovic and Andrey Santos. And also in terms of the impact that they're having on their season. You take Caleb Wiley out of that Strasbourg squad, they're probably not going to miss him too much. But yeah, they're playing fantastic. And another goalkeeper that is, and this is going to divide some people, because like everybody, if you follow me, if you know me, you know my stance on Kepa Arrizabalaga. Ever since that argument with Maurizio Sarri, I've never rated the guy. He's disrespectful. He's had no respect. No player is bigger than the club. That's the statement he decided to make that day. I will never, ever forgive him, never let him live it down. He was twerking for Real Madrid while still contracted to us, saying that he would do everything to stay for them while he was on loan. Look, this is a guy who's gone mentally. He's not a Chelsea player. But I will say it's fantastic to see him putting in great performances. It's fantastic to see Bournemouth doing well. And he is a big part of that team. They're centre-backs, the youngest centre-back pairing in the league, Huijsen and Zabani, I think it is, at average age of 20 or what. I don't know what it is. It's definitely the youngest centre-back pairing in the league. And they are both quality, but they have been helped out a few times by Kepa. I've never, ever doubted Kepa's shot-stopping ability. He is a great reflex save keeper. Great shot stopper. He just sucks arse at everything else. It is a real shame that he couldn't refine the distribution, the confidence area of his game, the consistency, because, yeah, shot stopping, he's up there. And it really shows he adds so much value in a team like, and it's going to sound quite hypocritical now, I was going to say a team nearer the bottom, like Bournemouth, because they face more shots, etc. Bournemouth are, if I'm not mistaken, above us on points at the moment. So I've got to watch my words for the Bournemouth fans in the comments. But you get what I mean. Those teams that face more shots, concede more goals, tend to need a keeper that's better with their hands, not necessarily with their feet. Someone like Aaron Ramsdale. You know what I mean. But yeah, fantastic to see him doing well. And all these performances can do is increase his fee when we do get rid of him at the end of the season. Because, well, I presume we're going to get rid of him at the end of the season, not loan him out for a third time, because then we'd be looking at going back on what I've just said. He'd have the upper hand in terms of his contract being run down. I think it's one of those where you're stupid if you think you're going to get the 76 million or the 60 million, whatever it was that we spent on him. You're looking at 25, 30 tops. If he continues to put in these performances, I think we could probably squeeze 25 mil out of Bournemouth for Kepa. Get him a new number one in the Premier League. Consistency under Iraola. Obviously, he's Spanish as well. Must be a fairly good connection. But yeah, whatever my personal opinion is of Kepa Arrizabalaga, it's great to see him doing well. And another keeper that is, ever present this season. He's not one that we've been talking about too much because obviously the Chelsea keeper situation is nuts and heavily saturated. But Teddy Sharman-Lowe has featured in every minute since joining Doncaster on loan and provided some heroics in one of the FA Cup third round big upsets against champion side Hull City. He produced a brilliant save to deny Alfie Jones a winning goal with 3 minutes of extra time remaining. He wasn't finished there, keeping out another Jones effort in the decisive shootout to give Doncaster the lead and the chance to slot the winning spot kick. That was then followed by more impressive saves as he kept back-to-back clean sheets in a pair of 1-0 wins over Gillingham, who I believe Jimmy J. Morgan has just gone to, and Harrogate Town in League 2, which moved Doncaster into the automatic promotion spots at the top of the table. Lovely to hear, really like to see young Chelsea players succeeding. I mean, as I've been saying, the goalkeeper situation is particularly difficult because you can only ever play one goalkeeper. If you're a striker, there's a possibility a manager comes in and plays with 2 strikers. If you're a winger, possibility he plays with 2-3 attackers. Again, 10 centre mids. There's more space, less competition, I suppose, for more space. But yeah, supply is very, very high. the demand is very, very low. You've only got one position to fill. So it's great to see these Chelsea goalkeepers going out and succeeding elsewhere. And fingers crossed, he gets, if he's not in the long-term plans of the squad, fingers crossed he gets a solid move. Be interesting, actually. I'll tackle it next week because I haven't checked up. But I mentioned Jimmy J. Morgan there. I think him and Max Merrick and Alex Matos as well are players that have actually secured new loan moves in the last few weeks. And we have recalled Eddie Beach, if I'm not mistaken, as a result of that Max Merrick loan out. But I'll have to double check who they went out to. But Jimmy J. Morgan scored, what was the last time I watched him? Scored 2 against Nottingham Forest. We won 4-2. Him and McNeely both grabbed a brace each. And then, he's moved to Gillingham on loan after that, which is fantastic. And he made his debut immediately from the start, just one day after joining the League Two club. Looks like he was absolutely battered. It says here that he was on the receiving end of some heavy-handed treatment from the defenders, needing a treatment for a cut on his foot, but they're not messing about in League Two, man. It's really good for these Chelsea players. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Some of these Chelsea players have such talent, such great technical ability, natural footballing ability, natural skill that you cannot replicate. You cannot manufacture that instinctual class, ability, talent. But when you're playing in the Prem, when you're playing in men's football, it is a significant step up in terms of the physicality to playing in academy ball. You look at a player like Djordje in academy, who's the perfect example. Unbelievable. Looks like he absolutely floats through the challenges, beats everybody for pace, fairly strong as well. You put him into a first team game in the Conference League and he's getting absolutely bullied by these Slovak centre-backs, 6'5". They've been doing manual labour about 20 years of their life. Sending these boys out to League Two, League One, Championship, I think is the best way. I think the Championship is the perfect blend of competitiveness and quality and also physicality. I've always said sending a Chelsea player on loan to the Championship, finding them a good loan team on the Championship where they're going to get game time, and then when they've done that, they can go out to another top league in one of Europe's other country, whether it's the Dutch league, the French league, the German league. It's always good to send somebody out to a top league elsewhere, just to get them they've got the physicality, the blend of the Championship and what they can expect from teams in the Premier League, but then they've also got to go and ply their trade at the top level in terms of playing against your Bayern Munichs, your PSGs, your Barcelona, Real Madrids. You get to go up against these world-class players that you will be playing against more frequently in the Premier League. So Jimmy J. Morgan, look, Gillingham, fantastic loan move, should I say, for him. And yeah, looks like John Coleman, the manager, spoke very highly of him after the game. Fingers crossed he gets some more minutes and gets a few goals towards the end of the season. Alex Matos as well has joined Oxford United and has featured in all 5 of their games since joining them. He came on for his debut shortly after they took after they went 3-1 down to Exeter in the FA Cup third round, but they haven't had a defeat since. So, newly promoted Oxford, 9 points clear of the relegation zone. Fingers crossed Alex Matos can help them. I'll have to watch him a little bit more closely if I can, because I'll be honest, he's not I don't want to say slipped my mind, because I'm still very aware of him, his presence in the team, but he has kind of dropped off the radar a little bit in terms of some of these other Chelsea players that are starting to come through. I feel like a few people may have forgotten about Alex Matos, and I do think he's a quality player. He just hasn't really had the opportunities to prove it with the Chelsea first team yet. Like obviously, Raksaki, Dyer have this season. They've, got a couple of cameos. Hopefully Matos, is still part of the plan, but, we'll see. We'll see. Alfie Gilchrist continues to play a ever-present role at Sheffield United for right back. They are still chasing promotion. They're still very much in the hunt. I think they did go back to the top of the table, but I don't think they are top of the table now. That might have changed with the Leeds-Burnley game the other day, the 0-0, I'm not sure. But they are still very close, still very much in with the chance of promotion, and if they don't get automatic promotion, I'd be very, very surprised if Sheffield United aren't in the playoffs this year. Max Merrick has gone to Hampton and Richmond, and apparently he made the perfect start to life, keeping a clean sheet and receiving man of the match on his debut in a 2-0 home victory over Tunbridge. Although he then suffered defeat at Boreham Wood, Max had another clean sheet and win to be proud of as they beat Torquay on Saturday 1-0. Max Merrick, I think, is the definition of a cowboy goalkeeper. He is the most loose, risky. Yeah, I just think cowboy sums it up. I think he's fucking brilliant. From an entertainment standpoint, from a neutral standpoint, I think he's great. And some of the risks he takes, when they pay off, it looks unbelievable. He looks like an absolute player. Looks like Ederson. Looks like he could be playing out on, centre back, right back, left back. The guy is good with the ball at his feet, but he loves to take a risk. So I think sending him out to, National League South is going to be a good physical league. Maybe I can, if they've just played Bournemouth, probably miss my chance to go and see him up close. But it will be interesting to see how he continues to develop. Like I say, I struggle to put much stock in the goalkeepers because I'm aware of our situation and how many are on our books and how difficult it is to become a goalkeeper at Chelsea Football Club. So, with all due respect to Max Merrick, that's not something that I'm going to be following particularly closely this year. But of course, wish him all the best, and fingers crossed he gets some well-needed experience under his belt. That pretty much rounds it out. I mean, Lesley Ugochukwu has just continuing to rise to prominence in Southampton. However, it is looking more and more like they are going to be relegated. They are up there with, as Mr. C Money said recently, up there with the worst teams in the Premier League. I'd say at the moment, on par with Derby. It's been a miserable showing from Southampton this year. We're doing him, I don't think... Look, it's a great learning experience for a young player. I don't know if we're doing him any favours by letting him suffer through a relegation battle and then pull out and take him back to Chelsea. I don't know if it sends the wrong message if we recall him now and say, you know what, you don't have to deal with that adversity. I think it would be, like I said, a great learning experience for him. It's definitely going to test his character. Fingers crossed it will build it. I'm just hoping that it doesn't, absolutely sap him of motivation before he comes back to us in the summer. He can't be bothered anymore. He looks like a shell of a man that he once was, and they stop playing him because at the end of the day, if they know they're going down and he's not going to be with them next year, why would they play him? But I think he's done well. And if we were to recall a centre mid, as I mentioned before, he'd be the one that I would bring back into the fold. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you've thought of the recent loanees. Obviously, we will be bringing you another Mr. C Money Picks, chopping it up with Charms episode this week. And Chelsea are playing on Monday. So we will hopefully give you a transfer. We're going to have to work it out. It falls on transfer deadline day, which is also Monday night. So we'll see how it goes. We'll hopefully have a transfer stream for you this weekend. It's been an absolutely nuts week. So go and watch our videos on Chelsea striker roulette. Obviously, Duran now moving to Saudi Arabia, but we were talking about Duran, Dalap, Ferguson, Tell. So many options, so many strikers, and Chelsea have still, as of right this moment, when I'm recording this video, still not nailed down a candidate. So jump in the comments of those videos, go and have a watch. Let me know what you think Chelsea need to do in the final few days of the transfer window. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Follow @2Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok, and we'll see you next week. Up the Chelsea.